Dave Palumbo here with Chris, the technician Aceto, at the 2017 Arnold Classic. The finals have let out. And Chris, we've been talking about this for years. If Cedric ever won this show, it would be the stellar victory of stellar victories. The speech he gave alone for this victory was worth the price of admission times 10.
The speech will go down as the best, I don't know, is it an acceptance speech, victory speech in the history of bodybuilding? Because it was ridiculously funny. The timing was incredible. The way he brought the other competitors up with him and recognized them. He spoke about diversity, which he talked about the diversity in physiques, but he was actually meaning metaphorically as well the diversity in the bodybuilding community, which is reflective of what America is. And then he kind of had
a lot of country wisdom too.
Yeah, there was country wisdom because it was a Trump dig, and he backed that up with he told Arnold, hey, I heard you having a little problems with Trump. Let's not talk about me, let's talk about you.
Yeah, typical Cedric McMillan turning around the interview process so that Arnold can't do his usual interview on him, and he interviews Arnold. Only he could pull this off. I don't think any other competitor would have gotten away with this.
They wouldn't have the guts. They wouldn't have
Even if they tried, I don't think Arnold would have allowed him. Arnold likes him so much.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, during his
Arnold
posing routine, Arnold came up and tried to do some social media in front of the stage, and Cedric was upset and came over and rubbed his head.
He gave him the rabbit ears over the head, and then
in the middle of the routine,
he tapped him on the head. He has those long arms like a giraffe that he can tap him on the head. And backstage, he said, "Man, you see Arnold coming in and social mediaizing my routine? He's just trying to screw it up."
The line that got me, though, was when, Arnold wanted to interview him, and he goes, and he said, I know you want to talk to me. I know you got those witty things to say, but I got to talk,
Yeah.
It was just a classic Cedric.
And he interviewed Arnold. He did a cliche, how long did you train for this, Arnold? Yeah. And Arnold said,
2 hours a day.
To come from 24% body fat to 16. Then he said, let's see your three-quarter back, Arnold. Now Arnold hit it.
You got to hit it. Well, let's talk about the Cedric McMillan physique here. Tonight, he was even better than prejudging. He was full, he was round, he was hard. This is the Cedric McMillan that we all knew he was capable of. Talk to me about the strategy with this show versus past shows.
The strategy for this show was really, Cedric will tell you, it was my strategy. And I mentioned this.
Keep him big.
Keep them big, and the problem
when you say big, how big? Because you revealed to me what his weight was.
298. Well, he was 281 on stage and prejudging.
And what was he 3 days before?
290 for high 290s. But more important than that is, last year.
That's a big bodybuilder.
It's a big bodybuilder, but the point is with Cedric is he has his own ideas. Arnold can't interview him, and I can't coach him. So, we work together, but there comes a time where you say, you know what, dude, just leave it to me. Nothing more than, this is my vision, really. Cedric, you have to be round, round, round. And I think that's going to work best for you. And once he was fighting me on it, starting the diet and this and that. He wants to come in, tight and trim and this and that. And I sent him some pictures of when he was round, when he was 6 in 2013. And, you go back and look at those pictures.
It was huge, yeah.
You say, holy shit, that was huge. And that we blamed, we got on a tangy fact.
Right, if it wasn't for this strategic move on your part and Cedric actually listening, I think he would have lost to Dallas McCarver here today, because I think Dallas brought not only humongous muscle, he had to be also close to 280 on stage,
sure.
But he brought terrific conditioning.
Yes,
he controlled his posing much better than he did at the Olympia. He looked way professional on stage. It was good. It took a great Cedric McMillan to take down Dallas McCarver.
Yeah, no, like I said after the prejudge and wrap up, I've been critical of Dallas, from day one. I just thought he was overhyped. There's a lot of people come in, they get so much hype and then they get flattened by Dexter. They get so much hype and then they get flattened by Roden. They get so much hype and they get flattened by, whoever's there in the Olympia. And so I don't know if I was offended by the hype, but I just didn't buy into it. But
he did not look at the Olympia like he looked here tonight.
After the prejudging tonight, I buy into the idea that this guy is going to be top 6 this year for sure at the Olympia. I don't know where, but he's got some strengths. I mean, he's got a knockout most muscular.
Well, 25 years of age. I mean, he's got his whole career again ahead of him. Is he capable of becoming the next Jay Cutler, which is what we're all waiting for?
I mean, he's capable of becoming the best that he can be, which is someone who's massive and eventually gets by those people who Jay would say have all the bells and whistles, the crazy tie-ins, the Dexters and the Rodens with the
size.
Yeah, just overwhelms them. That's what he's going to have to do, and he would overwhelm, some people at the Olympia who he couldn't overwhelm, just 4 months ago, I think.
Third place Max Charles was very impressive.
Very tight.
This weekend. I saw detail in his legs that we haven't seen in the past. They actually look pretty good tonight. They look full. I mean, I actually thought he challenged Dallas McCarver a little bit just because his upper body size is so enormous.
Yeah, he looked tremendous. He looked like the Max Charles from last year's Arnold with even more detail. I think he gave up a little bit of wacky fullness, but I think that was an absolute must-do to be able to get in this lineup. If even Fuller in this lineup, he still, I think, had the lock on third. I think he had the lock on third, from the get-go. I just thought he was tight enough to get by Beyeke, and still, of course, he's big. So, I mean, of course, Bayeke's bigger, but, he was tight enough regardless to get by Beyeke.
Well, to me, it was a two-man show, and then the rest of the lineup, because I think the top two were elevated above third through sixth place by Olympia versus not Olympia guys.
I agree with you.
But Max looked his best, and if he can keep bringing up those legs, he's going to be very dangerous. Lionel Beyeke was impressive, but not his best. Yeah. Once again, those glutes and hamstrings, I don't know if they're under-muscled or just under-conditioned, because I think if you try to get them conditioned, he's going to be too small.
Yeah, too small. Well, you know what? He's got the crazy legs from the front, right? The front back, the front double, the front last spread. We talked about this on the preview show, and I said he's, because people were asking about, we did the debate, Beyeke versus Cedric, and I said, he doesn't have a lot of hamstring thickness from behind, and it can look odd unless it's absolutely peeled, and it's only been absolutely peeled maybe 3 shows out of the last 18. So it's a vulnerable spot for him. He has the potential to come into a show like this and definitely, challenge a Cedric, I think. If he can
bring up that
1,000. I always go back to the Brazil look that he had, and that was mesmerizing. I mean, I know he got 4th there, but it was a tremendous look for him. And if he showed up at a show like this with that Brazil Arnold look, he'd be in the right next to Cedric standing.
Things.
Yeah.
Let's talk about Juan Morel. Good, but not great. I felt the legs were down. I don't know if he's got leg flatness issues or he's got leg size issues. What would you say?
I think they're flatness issues. I don't know. They looked like just flat, like wasted.
But his upper body doesn't look like that.
No. I don't know if it's like cardio or sometimes when you restrict water, your weaker body parts can fall apart, and the oddness of it is one show they can fall apart, and the next show you restrict water, and the weak body part for some reason hangs around. So to me they look flat because I've seen them big. When he won the New York Pro, he had good legs. And they obviously weren't flat there, and his upper body here is the same as it was at the New York Pro. So it's just, it's creating a visual imbalance. And when you're up against like Beyeke, even though, Bayeke's not in great condition, at least he's round standing from the front. Standing from the front. He's really, really round, including in the lower body, and that's what gets him past Juan.
Fouad Abiad, he's a guy who maximizes his talents and his gifts. He doesn't have the gifts that the Cedric McMillans and the Dallas McCarver has. He doesn't have that structure, but this guy is a workhorse. He brought a lot of muscle to the stage. He was very well conditioned.
Yep.
And you know what? He deservedly got 6th place and beat out some guys, like Michael Lockett, who probably are genetically better than him, but he just outworked them.
Yeah, no, he brought his absolute best. His condition was impeccable, I think, in the play-by-play. I raved about him, and it's one of these guys like I didn't really know what the judges would do with him, where they would put him, and it was nice to see him rewarded in the top 6 based on, his condition and based on the fact that he came in his absolute best for his body. If he was not flat for his physique, he was not a little bit off for his physique, he was banging on for his body. And, here we are at the Arnold. He ends up 6th. It's a great, it's a great placing.
In the men's physique division, Ryan Terry, who finished 2nd at the Olympia, takes home the victory here over an excellent Andre Ferguson. I thought it was a very tight battle, but Ryan Terry emerges victorious. Also in the bikini, we had a big upset. Courtney King, who was the reigning Miss Olympia, lost to Angelica Teixeira. Congratulations on that big win. I actually thought Janet Leig was my winner, but what do I know about bikini?
Well, what did you base that on? Beauty, eye appeal?
Everything.
Yeah, okay, everything.
That's what I like.
Dave Palumbo's preference.
That's right. But the big story here tonight, Cedric McMillan finally bringing home the big victory we know he's all capable of. Does this give him tremendous momentum going into the Olympia now?
You know what? I'll go out on a limb. I think Cedric can actually come in 7 pounds bigger, and then in this condition at the Olympia. I know people throw around numbers ridiculously, and they pull them out of their ass. But the fact is, Cedric didn't even prepare for the show for a long period of time. That's the oddness of it. And once he prepared, once Cedric decided, you know what, I agree. Chris, step back. I'm going to get my weight up to 290, and I'm going to train there for a while, and let's see how, what happens for me to my body if I can get it there, and if I train there. And it was just like week after week, it's like, okay, I know he's doing a lot, cardio, but like, when's your weight going to drop? And it never did. So
that's a good thing.
But I think for him, it was just a matter of, once he made that click, I'm gonna try to stay 290s all the way till close to the show.
It worked. It was a good strategy, and it worked. And I want to just send, I know we break his chops a lot, George Farah, but I want to send out he's feeling down. He's not doing so well. He's a little sick. I want everyone out there to send their prayers out to George Farah. He's one of our brothers in iron, and we want to see him get better quickly.
We love him so much. I want to, isn't this terrible? I just want to throw him under the bus because he's just, George, you're the best. We wish you were here. Everyone was asking, where are you? Chad was asking, I was asking, and we were
not
just
the same.
No, and we were waiting for you to come around the corner and say, brother, let me tell you something. And so we miss you, and we hope you feel better, and can't wait to see you.
All right, and that's pretty much it for this weekend. I want to thank all the Arnold people, Bob Lorimer for inviting us, Matt Lors for opening up his arms to us. I mean, this is like a homecoming when we come here every year. I can't wait for this show. This is one of my favorite shows of the year, obviously, along with the Olympia. And, it's because they put on a top-notch celebration here. One of these days, Arnold, I will interview you. Cedric got my interview tonight, but maybe next year. I'm Dave Palumbo with Chris, the technician, Aceto, for RXMuscle.com.